This isn't something I'm going to sell right away. We ended up getting it for EUR 40. It's small and very cheap, but it's pure modernist art. The artist was known for his sharp eye and his tough business practices. For many years, Drew Pritchard has been the face of Salvage Hunters and the only person they trust with their junkyard finds. He started out small with big dreams. Drew could not have hoped for the level of success he now has in the antiques business. This makes me wonder if a person's net worth is the only thing that makes them successful, or if there is a personal standard that one must meet. Drew may have all the money in the world. He is the richest man in the world, but is his legacy defined by the heartbreaking losses he's had to endure? Join us as we look at Drew Pritchard's tragic life. From Salvage Hunters, we have some exciting news. We've sold our yard. Someone made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and it's gone, but over 90% of our business is now done online, so we're happy about it. Andrew Thomas Pritchard, or Drew Pritchard as many people now call him, was born and raised in Conwy in 1970. Not much about his childhood stands out, except that he had a strange and respectful interest in old things. Now that we look back, it makes perfect sense for Drew to have gone in the job path he did. He lived in a small village in the north of Wales at the time, and his interest in antiques made him stand out from other people. In an interview with Holmes and Antiques magazine, he said that he couldn't remember a time when he wasn't completely absorbed by antiques. He said that his interest came from his father, who collected antiques such as instruments, motorcycles, and other things. Other kids his age might have been impressed by clean museums and intricately carved objects. Drew liked going to junkyards with his dad and searching the local beaches with his friends for broken and worn-out items that he would then sell to get candy and magazines. He said he had a mind focused on business. He knew early on that he wanted to be an antiques dealer when he grew up, even when he was very young and helping his father fix old cars. This came with its own set of problems, though, since the only way to become an antiques dealer was to first become a restorer. Drew began his career in earnest as a young adult, right away signing up for an apprenticeship with a glass restorer. He had never been very good at school, and didn't have many qualifications when he graduated. There are many ways to be successful, though, and after years of hard work and dedication, he was finally able to. Even so, he ran his business out of his father's garage, where he also sold stained glass windows. He didn't start working as an antique dealer until the late 1980s, with only £200 in his pocket and a beat-up VW Beetle. For someone whose life hasn't been a bed of roses, it was a perfect karmic smell that he had to struggle a lot before he got back on his feet. The antique world, as he describes it, is secretive, or at least it was when he joined. Dealers were very protective of their trade secrets, so he had to learn everything on his own. At first, he spent more than he made. The newspaper ad alone cost him PS15 a month. Eventually, he grew his business enough to have to change his business model and sell his antiques for ridiculously high prices. He even wrote a book called How Not to Be an Antiques Dealer: Everything I've Learned That No One Told Me. In 2011, he finally got his big brother break. His own show, Salvage Hunters, follows him as he looks for hidden treasures and fixes them up so he can sell them for huge profits. The show has been a huge success, with 17 seasons and many spin-offs like Salvage Hunters Classic Cars and Salvage Hunters The Restorers. Today, he has an impressive list of clients, and according to North Wales Live, the TV legend is in regular contact with them. Having relationships with famous chefs Marco Pierre White and Ralph Lauren isn't the only part of Drew's story. He overcame a lot of problems and became very successful, but that's not the only thing there is to life. Like most people, he's been criticized for things that happened in his personal life. For example, on October 6, 2017, Drew's son said that he had been accused of having an affair with a businessman's wife. A fight broke out in a pub between two people who were supposedly family friends. Before the fight, businessman Janice bin Thomas said he saw red when Drew hit him across the Liverpool Arms pub in Conwy. This is because he said Drew had an affair with his wife Amanda about 2 years ago. It turned out that Drew Pritchard, who was happily married to his wife Rebecca at the time, was cheating on her with Amanda and several other women. When the affair ended, the other women started sending threatening texts to Amanda, accusing her of ending their relationships with Drew. Randy and Drew got married in 1998, but they had been together for a long time before that. According to reports, they met in the antiques business and fell in love with history and restoring things. This led to them getting married. They were partners in life and business and never had a disagreement, at least in public. When Salvage Hunters premiered in 2011, they were two of the main people who helped make the show a huge success. When Drew's affair with Amanda became public, it started a chain reaction that affected many other parts of his life, as it usually does with something this personal. Drew and Janice were friends before the affair, so when people found out about it, Drew told Amanda to either tell Janice herself or he would. It was only a matter of time before the news told him. And this was better in some ways. Amanda and Janice were able to fix their marriage and focus on making sure their kids were safe, according to Janice. However, Drew swinging at him across the bar wasn't the only thing that made him punch the antique dealer in the face outside the pub. According to reports, Drew started the fight by calling Janice a coward for not fighting with him when he found out about the affair. To Janice Thomas, Drew's smirk on top of that felt like an insult and an admission of a sick kind of victory over him. Unfortunately, the Thomases did not win the lawsuit and were charged with assault. Drew was fined a total of PS 1,440 and told to pay .00 in compensation and PS 181 in costs. He admitted guilt, but the judge didn't think he needed a protection order. The main effects on Drew were social, since his huge success didn't protect him from online criticism. This pretty much put an end to Drew Pritchard's luck in the business and in his personal life. As it turns out, the public doesn't like it when a famous person cheats on his famous wife. His bad luck kept getting worse in 2018. It was said that he was banned from all pubs in his hometown in North Wales because of an attempted assault. People in Conwy called it a pub watch, which meant that he was basically banned from every bar in town. The exact details of the fight and the reasons for his banning are still unclear, but a landlord of the pub watch scheme confirmed that his name was on the list. This made him even less popular. Besides his personal life, Drew has gotten a lot of hate over the years for having a bit of an attitude problem. Some people think that his complete lack of regard for anything that doesn't have monetary value is elitist. And this is especially clear when he criticizes the taste and practices of others in the antiques community. Really mean it was inevitable that Rebecca and Drew would have to split up, but it was especially hard because of how closely their personal and professional lives were linked. They had been married for 19 years at the time, and news like that could have made them very angry at each other. Rebecca handled the situation with a lot of grace. She quickly divorced him, but kept up a professional working relationship with him that lasted through many more seasons of Salvage Hunters. When they were married, Drew lived in a former Methodist chapel near Equal in the Kew Valley, which he had flipped. It was perfect for the family, and up until the split up, Drew said that the couple had a lot of fun in the house where they lived together. After the divorce, he moved with his son to a smaller 1820s townhouse just outside of Conwy's walls. He also closed his shop in Conwy, which was not an easy choice. The store is now a bakery and general store. With this big change in his life, The 50-year-old man in 2023 had a lot of time to think. Drew said he was giving up his old life because it had become too much for him. He now lives in the West Country, and since the divorce has been working on turning a 1790s property that used to have 5 flats back into a townhouse. He said that somewhere in the middle of all this, he had a blip, a moment when he stopped and he realized he had to start a new life. For someone who had spent their whole life doing one thing, this could be a scary choice. His new hobby, restoring old houses, which is similar to his old job, keeps him busy. He's also talking about his childhood and how he had to stop drinking to make his life better. All of this to say that we don't know if all the hits he's taken in the last 10 years can really be forgotten, but we wish him the best for himself and for Salvage Hunters.